Hello friends, this video on reproduction in animals part 10 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now we are going to talk about the female reproductive system. So there again we will talk about the different organs which form the female reproductive system. So let us look at the various female reproductive organs. So this is how the female reproductive system will look like. So here again we are going to talk about the important parts of the reproductive system. So some of them are already labeled on the screen. So they are a pair of ovaries. So where do we have the ovary? See here you can see these two structures on either sides. So they are the ovaries. Next is the fallopian tube. So you see there is a tube-like structure which connects the ovary with the other parts. So this tube-like structure is called fallopian tube, or it is also known as oviduct. The word duct is often used for tubular structures. So that's why it is called oviduct. Ovi is related to ovary. So the tube which connects the ovary is oviduct or fallopian tube. So fallopian tube also you have on both sides to connect each of the ovaries. Next is the uterus. So this structure which you see here, the big structure, is uterus. So uterus is the place when a woman is pregnant. So this is the place where the baby resides because the baby remains there for 9 months. So this is the place where the baby remains. So it is quite obvious that uterus is quite elastic in nature because as the baby grows, the uterus is still able to accommodate the baby. Next is cervix. Now where the uterus ends, towards that side, this opening is called cervix. So there is an opening between the uterus and the vagina, and that part is called cervix. And below that you have vagina. So vagina you see here, this is open. So this is like a hole which is open. So this is the place, now you will be able to understand that this is the place where the penis of a male can be inserted. So now when the penis is inserted to this vaginal space, what happens is the sperms which gets excreted out or which is secreted through the urethra, they come inside the cervix or they come inside the vagina. Once it reaches here, then it can reach the other parts and then we will see what happens. But this is how basically the male sex cells, that is sperms, enter inside the female body. So these are the various female reproductive parts. Now we are going to talk about each of them one by one. So let us start with the ovaries. The ovaries are the most important part of the female reproductive system because they produce the female sex cell. Like how we have testes in case of males which produce the male sex cell, that is sperm. Similarly in females we have ovaries which produce the female sex cell, and the female sex cell is called ovum. Ovum is the singular number and in plural it is called ova. So ovum or egg. Egg cell is also often used for the female sex cell. So ovaries produce the ovum and that is why they are very important. Now one on each side of the uterus. So you have the uterus located here. So you have one ovary here and one ovary here. So you have a right ovary and a left ovary. This ovaries also secrete female hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone. Like in case of males, the male hormone called testosterone is secreted. Here it is estrogen and progesterone are secreted. So these are the hormones which control the various characters which are specific to females. For example, the development of breasts or the absence of facial hair or not too much of hair is present in a female when compared to a male. Or you talk about the entire menstrual cycle, the periodic bleeding which takes place every month. So all these kind of processes or characteristics which are present only in females, they are controlled by these two hormones. In fact, this hormone also plays a very important role during the pregnancy period as well as the lactation period. Next part is the fallopian tube. This also exists in pairs because one to connect each ovary. They originate from uterus extending up to each ovary. So they basically connect ovary and the uterus. So you have the ovary here and you have the uterus here. So this tube is connecting the ovary and the uterus. So what is its job? Its job is to receive the ovum from the ovary. So the ovary will produce the eggs, and the job of this tube is to collect the egg from the ovary, and then it will take, and then the egg can be passed through the fallopian tube. So the job of the fallopian tube is to collect the egg. Now what happens to the egg after it comes to the fallopian tube? We will see that a little later. Next important part is the uterus. It is very, very important because this is the place where the baby resides. So it is a pear-shaped muscular hollow structure. See, this is important. It is a muscular structure. Now, wherever you have a muscular structure, there the shape of that structure can be controlled because the muscles can contract and expand, and that's how they can create more space when needed. And that's what happens in case of uterus. Now, when a female is not carrying a baby, that time her uterus is not in the expanded mode because it is not required. But when a female is pregnant, then you would have seen that from outside only it becomes very evident that she is carrying a baby because the baby is quite big. So that much of space need to be provided within the uterus. Then how is it provided? By the muscular structure of the uterus. So the muscles contract and expand, making space for the baby. In fact, when the baby needs to be delivered, there also the muscular contraction of the uterus helps in the movement of the baby so that the baby can come out through this vaginal opening. Now, if you look at it, the vaginal opening seems to be very, very small. So you might wonder that how that baby will come out through the vaginal opening. So that becomes possible only because of the presence of these muscles which are capable of contraction and expansion. And that's how it creates space and gives flexibility. So this is the place where the fetus develops. By now you know what is a fetus. Like after fertilization, a zygote is formed, a single cell is formed. So that single cell will undergo multiple division, and that's how it will form the small baby. Now that stage where the group of cells have developed the basic body parts like the heart or the head, or the basic body parts have been developed, so then we call it a fetus. So the development of the fetus takes place in the uterus, and when sufficient development would have taken place, which approximately takes 8 to 9 months, only then the baby is delivered. Next is cervix. Cervix is the narrow lower part of the uterus. So it is like a gate to the uterus. So this is where it normally doesn't remain very much open, doesn't provide a lot of space. It remains little closed. It is very narrow. So if you see here, this vaginal opening, it has sufficient amount of width. But as you reach the cervix, so this part is the cervix. So it is very narrow. This part is extremely narrow. So it opens up only when really needed. And then the last part, that is vagina, which is a tube-like structure. Sperm discharge occurs here. That's because the penis gets inserted in this area. Now, this is how the penis gets inserted here. Now, once the penis gets inserted here, then the sperms are released here. So, this is the place where the sperm discharge will take place, and it also acts as birth canal. Why birth canal? Because, as I said, the baby remains here in the uterus. Now from here the baby has to come out, so it has to actually pass through the entire vaginal space. So it allows the baby to come out through this space, and that is why it is called as the birth canal. So these are the important parts of the female reproductive system. Now we will see how exactly are the eggs produced, or the ova, how exactly it is produced, and then we will see how fertilization takes place. So now if you quickly look at the different parts once again. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.